We're going to introduce you to some young people who have some high-flying ambitions when it comes to a future career. I'm Jim Finnerty. We'll take you to two high schools in Southern California where their education is all about aviation.
Meet a bus driver for special needs children who says,
"That's my job. I protect those children."
She looks out for them as if they were her own grandkids.
Hey, have a good day.
Imagine a field trip that students can take without ever leaving the campus. That's the concept behind Ag in Motion. I'm Sarah Gardner. We'll take you inside this mobile classroom, which aims to expose kids to possible careers in agriculture. How do you keep kids reading books during the summer? Libraries are hoping that free food will draw families in. I'm Christina Salerno. We'll show you a program called Lunch at the Library that aims to keep kids fed and well-read. It's all coming up on Inside California Education.
Start reading.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.
As California high school students look to future careers, one area there is certain to be opportunity is in aviation. There's a looming pilot shortage and pathways for those with mechanical skills. We visit schools in Riverside and Orange County that have pioneering programs for students who are anything but grounded.
Oh, there's traffic. Do you see it?
There's traffic. No, we have to go for this one. I've been interested in aviation for a very long time. I can learn and train and actually gain the information and knowledge in order to be ready for actual flying.
Now our objective is to just go straight back with the tail.
My brother came along and was like, "Hey, do you want to build airplanes?" And I was like, "Heck yes!" And so we joined in with the airplane restoration project, and I'm now just got an internship with the airport. I'm working towards a aviation certificate with the school, and I'm loving it.
Now we're going to check the tires that they're the proper inflation.
Is this flight school?
Because we'll do a full walk around and we'll end it at that tire.
No,
Okay.
it's high school.
Let's bring it over here.
John Green is getting his wings at River Springs Charter School in Riverside. And Mia Kayumjian is practicing her skills at Canyon High School, 35 miles away in Anaheim. They're among only a handful of high schools in California offering aviation as an elective course. Two different flight paths to possible careers. John's program takes place near Flabob Airport, one of the oldest surviving airports in California.
Is that way you still face your ridge?
I think that's good right there.
Mia's aspirations are taking flight thanks to the determination of teacher and pilot Steve Smith.
I felt like a lot of our students were just taking it because it sounded like a fun elective without really knowing the potential behind it.
His program started as a one-year class. Students learned how planes fly and the fundamentals of operating them. Then he added a second year, Aviation 2, a true ground school for pilots in training.
Right there, John Wayne. John Wayne, there we go.
I started to see a higher level of students that are looking to do something with aviation, and they're taking the class because it's appealing to them as a potential career, not just a fun elective.
A lot of my weekends do get taken up, but the thing is, I love doing it. It's not necessary, it doesn't even feel like education because we're out there, we're on the flight lines.
I would definitely love to be able to have this as a career.
We believe it's not just good enough to give our students a high school diploma. We want our children to be empowered. We want them to hit the ground running when they graduate from high school, really knowing what their interests are, what their aptitudes are, and what they might want to do for a career.
For both schools, aviation is part of the so-called STEM initiative, a national drive to refocus public education on science, technology, engineering, and math. California has pumped $1.5 billion into public schools offering career technical education, or CTE, programs such as these.
It's just an exciting thing because you see kids getting a lot more engaged, a lot more excited about learning, and we know they're learning those core skills that are going to take them into the workplace and actually maybe get them a job.
I'm thinking we do a right pattern this time.
In addition to those workplace skills, students are learning the academic basics.
We cover science. We definitely incorporate technology. We discuss a little bit on the engineering side with physics and everything else in the design. And then, of course, math. We use math for calculating performance data and weight and balance and everything else.
It just kind of connects all the subjects, and I think it's a really good thing. Even history, I mean, we learned about World War II and with the aviation side of it, and World War I when Air Force just began.
Before even the Air Force began, a couple of aviation students named Orville and Wilbur Wright made history with a plane like this one. Over at Flabob Airport, a replica plane is part of an internship program for River Springs students interested in technical careers.
There's so much you can do if you know how to use your hands and a few tools. And it's really, I think it's a part of learning how to use your brain, because it's what your brain is using, and you have to teach it somehow. And you don't teach it by tapping on the board all the time.
There's also a financial benefit for students training at their public school when compared to the cost of private training.
Typically, you're looking anywhere from about $8,000 to potentially $14,000 just to get that private pilot's license. With the simulators, they're getting real flight lessons just in small pieces. So I'm teaching them the maneuvers and the procedures that they would learn, that they would perform in an actual airplane, and they get to practice it here for free.
The simulators and computers and 3D printer are among the purchases Canyon High School made with CTE grant money. The engineless airplane parked in the school's former auto shop was free, a donation from an industry contact.
Some of these students don't necessarily enjoy the classroom portion. They want to get their hands dirty and they want to work with their hands, and we don't have many opportunities for them to do that anymore.
So the flaps in this airplane, it almost looks like a parking brake.
I get to go around the airplane and say, okay, well, what is this? What does it do? And they're taking what they saw on paper or on a screen, and now they're seeing it in real life, and they get to touch it, and they get to move the aileron and see how it works.
While students dismantle instruments and get real airplanes oiled up and checked out at River Springs and Flabob, both schools stop just shy of officially getting them off the ground. There are insurance barriers and the significant costs of fuel and maintenance. So, although these planes don't actually take off, certain students can taxi them around the runway, all part of the hands-on approach.
I tell my teachers, I don't want you to be a teacher, I want you to be a facilitator of learning. I want you to provide the resources, provide the challenges to the students, and guide them through self-discovery to learn the content.
But still, why aviation? In Southern California, long a hotbed of aviation and aerospace, an urgent need is looming.
The pilot shortage is coming, and it's a real concern for the airlines especially. Pilots have a mandatory retirement age of 65 that's set by the FAA, and so the concern is that we are not going to have enough pilots to fill the jobs that are about to be available.
Throughout the next few years, there's going to be less pilots, and so I think starting at this young of age and just being able to get that head start is something that most people don't get.
All of us were just really lucky to be able to be brought up in the program at our age.
Over in Riverside, River Springs Charter School eagerly anticipates building new aviation classrooms right next to the runway at Flabob Airport. While at Canyon, Steve Smith hopes to build aviation up to a 4-year program, perhaps even offering training in drone operations.
I feel like a program like this, it's just going to give them another reason to do their best in school, in their other classes. If they decide, yeah, I want to be a pilot, well then your education matters and you have something that you're working toward. It's not just, I just need to graduate high school.
Experts estimate there will be a need for 600,000 new pilots globally by the year 2035. While much of that demand is in the Asia-Pacific region, nearly 20% of those new aviation jobs will be right here in North America. Airlines are taking notice, and Emirates Airline has responded by building a new flight school in Dubai that can train 600 pilots at a time.
When you think of a library, you think of a quiet place to sit and read a book. It's probably not a place where you'd expect to see 100 children gathered for a big, noisy, messy meal. But that's exactly what's happening at libraries all across California. It's part of an effort called Lunch at the Library that aims to feed hungry children and also keep them reading during their summer break.
We're at Elk Grove Unified School District's Food and Nutrition Services Central Kitchen, and what we do here is we create meals for children throughout the school year and all through summertime. Today's meal was a yogurt parfait. It had yogurt, granola, strawberries, carrots, and jicama.
During summer, this food goes out to community sites around the district, like parks and YMCAs. And now, public libraries.
During the summer months when kids are out of school, there is learning loss. And so by having that partnership with the library, having a meal helps to bring kids in and give them the ability to access the resources that the library can provide to keep their learning going through those summer months.
About 120 of these pre-packaged meals are headed to nearby Valley High North Laguna Library in Sacramento. It's the 3rd year in a row the branch has participated in Lunch at the Library.
It was a little bit scary at first. We didn't know what the impact were going to be, and we had visions of hairnets and needing to have gloves and so forth, but our food partners made it really easy. The partners bring lunches here, and we serve them to any kids 0 to 18. No questions asked. They don't have to enroll. There's no verification or anything. They don't have to show ID. They just come and have free lunch over the summer. The kids that come during the summer, if they're in, from a needy background, a lot of times they come, they stay all day because they don't have childcare or other options, and they're hungry.
Do you like the carrots? The celery? You don't like the celery? Why?
I hate celery.
Oh.
Robert Gurwal is at the library with his wife, 2 grandchildren, and 5-year-old daughter, Tara.
We started taking them to a couple of different parks, and then we found out that the library had it over here. So we started coming here.
He says the fact that it's free is a big draw for his family.
Sometimes, like with us, I'm a sole provider for my family, so the money can get kind of tight. It also draws the families to the library also, and that way they can, read the books and stuff like that after the kids have eaten their lunch.
And that's the goal of this program, to bring people in with the free food, but keep them here for the books.
It's hard to come to a library and not notice the books. And most libraries in California have a summer reading program, and that's not just for kids, but it's for adults too. What I have seen at programs like this is families walking out after having a meal and turning to a librarian and saying, well, where do we sign up for the summer reading program? So it goes hand in hand.
We offer a summer reading challenge, which is kind of the backbone of our summer programming, and libraries have done this for over 100 years. Everyone who reads 5 books or more gets a free book to keep, and we think it's really important to give kids reading material they can have in the home.
Lunch at the Library started in 17 libraries in 2013. 3 years later, it's in 130 libraries up and down California, and more people are showing up each summer.
Sometimes we come early. It's like a long line. A lot of people here come for their free meals. It's really healthy, nutritious meals as well.
every day. I have planned to come every day here. Yeah, because my son, his name is Muhammad, so he really want to come every day because the reading log, and he loves to read.
Funding for the food comes from the USDA Summer Food Service Program. It feeds kids who qualify for free or low-cost meals during the regular school year.
We're actually running out of food at home, and my mom's kind of broke.
10-year-old Jarrell Jackson comes to the library with his mom while she studies for her college classes.
We check out books mostly by going on the computer. There's a lot of stuff to do here.
What's interesting about summer is that the kids that lose access to the subsidized breakfast and lunch programs, and there's about 2 million children that receive free and reduced price lunch during the school year. We know that those kids, not only do they lose access to the nutrition programs, but often they are kids that don't have access to any kind of formal summer learning program. They're more likely to experience summer learning loss and lose reading skills, which has a cumulative impact of impacting the achievement gap.
If you feed someone, they're going to be able then to focus on the reading that they want to do or the learning. We solve one problem and they may be that much more ready to be able to access the next thing, and the library's here to help with all of those things.
One of California's first public libraries was established in the city of Monterey in 1849. Civic leaders raised $1,500, which was used to purchase the first collection of 900 books. These books were shipped around Cape Horn to Monterey. Included in the titles were books about history, theology, and science, along with popular fiction from authors like Charles Dickens.
Still to come on Inside California Education, a look inside a mobile classroom that's crisscrossing California in an effort to teach students about future careers in agriculture. But first, we'll show you a day in the life of a bus driver.
Hey kids, have a nice ride today. Thank you.
Most of the children that I have, I started transporting them since they were 3 years old. You develop a bond. You become part of their family. My name is Karen Sweet. I am a school bus driver in Galt, California. I have worked in Galt Joint Union School District for 29 years, and I drive special needs children that I adore.
Good morning.
When the parents are handed a child that has special needs, they don't know anything about it. And so they learn on a daily basis.
Get your seatbelt, buddy.
They're trusting you to take care of their babies. And it doesn't matter if they're 2 or 3 when they first start to school, or they're out of the program at the high school. They're still their babies.
Give me a kiss and a hug.
They still want them to be protected. And that's my job. I protect those children. When you're driving, of course, you're watching the road, you're watching all your mirrors, you're watching the kids in the mirrors, and it does make me feel very important. It's nice to think that people trust me enough to take their child to school. My granddaughter rides my bus, and so of course she calls me Grandma. And so that's what they call me now, is they all call me Grandma. So now I have lots of grandchildren. I look forward to seeing the children. They get on the bus and they just are smiling and they're ready to go to school. And I look forward to that every day.
Excuse me.
They keep me young by teaching me all the latest things. There was a song that came on that I thought, that's a crazy rock and roll song. I thought they were singing about a cheese stick. They said, no, Karen, that's a car. Oh, okay. They're not singing about a cheese stick? Okay, I feel kind of silly. They just always keep me smiling. Sometimes they say things that are just so funny, I just almost have to stop the bus. I'm laughing. And they like to see me laugh.
Okay, you guys remember to stay set down.
The children bring to me just happiness. I'm getting ready to retire, and I know I'm going to miss my babies, but will somebody else take the time to love them like I love them? And I look around at the other drivers, and I know that they will love them as much as I do.
Students considering possible careers may not always know about the opportunities that exist in agriculture, even in areas of California with a rich farming history. It's important for our entire food system to get young minds thinking about future jobs as agricultural scientists, entomologists, or engineers. Sparking an interest in these types of careers is the concept behind Ag in Motion.
Do I have DNA? Yes. Okay. Great grandma? Yes. What about the pets you have? Yes. Yes. What about these plastic locks? No.
Elisa Guzman is drilling down on a biology lesson at the Norman Glick Middle School in Empire, California. But the science work here isn't being done in the classroom. It's being carried out in a specialized mobile laboratory.
Close. You waiting for your partner? You waiting for your partner?
The 53-foot mobile lab is an outreach project of the National Ag Science Center. Funded by private donations, the traveling laboratory delivers a field trip experience to schools and focuses on the role of science and technology in agriculture.
Kids think that agriculture is just basically working in the field, and they don't understand and make the connection that every part of agriculture involves science. Whether it's a chemist in a food processing plant coming up with a recipe for the next hot sauce, or an agronomist out working with the soil, or a farmer who has to do density measurements every day to mix his chemicals.
Okay, now in that cell is the DNA, but do we know exactly where it's located? Yes. Yes.
The Ag in Motion lab rolled out in 2011 and serves some 15,000 students a year with hands-on science experiments like photosynthesis, soil acidity, and dairy chemistry. These middle school students are examining the DNA in strawberries.
So step one, we mashed the fruit, and by doing so, we broke down the cell wall.
Encouraging students to think of agriculture in scientific terms is one of the ways agribusiness is hoping to change its image and attract young people to the industry. A study by Purdue University found that between 2010 and 2015, some 55,000 new jobs each year needed to be filled in the areas of agriculture, food production, and renewable natural resources.
It's the clothes we wear, it's the food we eat, and the house we live in. And just for them to get that understanding and grasp on it at such a young age, and it's a give and take relationship to appreciate nature and ourselves as well.
Diego Villagran and his lab partner are following the steps to isolate strands of strawberry DNA.
This was very interesting. I would actually like to go in depth more with this and actually learn more about how you can extract DNA from other things other than strawberries.
There are mobile classrooms. We're part of the Mobile Laboratory Coalition, which is a national, actually an international organization of mobile labs, but we are the only one that is agriculturally science focused. And we're 53 feet, so we can fit every student in a class in the mobile lab doing an experiment at the same time, up to 40 students at one time.
Roger Lawson teaches science to these youngsters at the Glick Middle School.
One of the things is the novelty. The kids get to go into the trailer, and that just seems to get them perked up about it. The other one is having someone else tell them the same things I've been telling them throughout the year. And so having it come from a different perspective and in a different environment definitely seems to help, and it keeps their focus.
I was actually expecting us just to watch like presentations of people, basically not really to do anything hands-on, but my expectations were totally wrong from when actually we went in there. We had a hand-on experience on how to extract DNA from just a simple strawberry.
We're a #1 producer of many commodities here in the county and in the Central Valley of California, and it's making that connection to what our #1 industry is. For the science teachers, it's making that connection to the agricultural industry, which they don't necessarily have the opportunity to do in their classrooms, and connecting it to jobs and careers, and giving these kids an opportunity to get excited about science and perhaps take more science classes or go into FFA in high schools. It's bringing their science class to life.
That's going to do it for this edition of Inside California Education. If you'd like more information about the program, just log on to our website, InsideCalEd.org. We have video from all of our shows, and you can connect with us on social media as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Inside California Education.
Oh, this traffic you see right
There's traffic. No, we have to go for this one.
Do you like the carrots? The celery? You don't like the celery? Why?
You wait for your partner? You wait for your partner? Very nice, okay? It's not just floating around anywhere in that cell, okay? It'll be damaged.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.